Good morning. You're gonna want to strap in for this one. Before I get into what happened last night, I'm gonna try to set some ground rules here because I want to walk the YouTube terms of service line here. All of what I want to talk about is purely for educational purposes and is not intended to be sexually gratifying in any way. Just want to talk about my experience last night at my first ping pong sex show. Oh man. Okay, so I'm here in Phuket, Thailand, and I'm staying like one block away from this major road. It's called Bangla Road. Big nightlife. Like nightlife is like the thing here for Phuket, for Patong and for Bangla Road. And I've been curious, and I wanted to, when in Rome, see what everything's about. So last night, finished up dinner and was headed back to the hostel, and it was like 8:15, and I was like, okay, it's Friday. When's the best time, if I'm gonna go to one of these things, what's the best time to go to? What day is the best? And probably Friday and Saturday. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, shoot, 8:30 on Friday. I don't necessarily have anything stopping me from going. So I was like, fuck it, let's just go. So I throw on some clothes, walk down Bangla Road. I've done almost zero other research. I had read a couple of blog posts, skimming a blog posts about what it's like, the stories, and I chat GPT'd, and it was like, you should, do your research before going because it's explicit content and stuff like that. And so, rewinding, on my way back from dinner, I walked Bangla Road, and like all in the middle, like every 30 feet is another person with one of these like little cards. It says like ping pong show, pay for a ticket, free entry, free drink, something like that. And they're like ping pong show, and there were like BB guns. What was the other one? Some other like nightclubs and gentlemen's clubs and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna find one of these people, and I'm just gonna go up and figure it out. So I walk along, and they're like, oh my god, there are probably like 20 of them, maybe even more. It's like every 10 feet. And so I pass by a couple, try to get the vibe, and then I ask one, I'm like, okay, how much is a ticket? And she pulls out her phone, and she goes to the calculator app, and she types in, something. Typically it's 1,800 Thai baht, which is probably $50 US, around there. But like until 10 p.m. it's happy hour or something, so I can give you 1,200 baht. And I'm like, okay, my objective here in the first conversation is just to get the lay of the land. So I'm like, okay, maybe. And I start walking away, and she goes, wait. If you get one beer, I can give you 900 baht. And I'm like, okay, again, objective first, don't take it, just get the lay of the land. And she's like, I can give you 900 baht, you come back to me. And I was like, okay. So I walk away, and then I find the next lady. And I'm like, okay, how much is a ticket? And she's like, 1,800, but happy hour is 1,200. And I'm like, are there any discounts you can get? And she's like, no. And then I was like, all right, maybe later. I'll find the next person. So I walk away. And then I get like 5 feet away and I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around and she goes, okay, happy hour. If you get 1 beer or whatever she said, I'll give you 900 baht. And I was like, okay, I've heard this twice now. I'll just go for it. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I walk in. I pay my 900 baht, which is 25 US dollars. And they have you turn off your phone, you get a little wristband, and you walk through this like big open area with a bunch of like pool tables and like some arcade like stuff. And then there's a big curtain, and then behind the curtain is this big room, like pretty big room. And how do I describe this? I'll describe it in a sec. The lady takes me to like right front and center to this couch, one of these couches, and has me sit down, and the bartender brings the drink, my free drink. I ordered a pina colada, because why not? Yeah. And it's like, there's a lot of people there. It's probably like 75% filled. There are 3 sections. So I'm sitting in the front middle, like facing the stage. And it's like 2 couches. I'm sitting on the right couch. Behind me is like a whole bunch of like bar stool tables, a bunch of like 2s. And then in front of me is some more couches. And then there's this whole like right-hand section. It's a whole bunch of like seats facing to the left, to the stage. And then the same thing on the left-hand side. A bunch of seats facing right. So I'm sitting there front and center. And I'm like, this is the best seat in the house. And like, I don't know, not 15 seconds later, one of the, I'm not exactly sure the terminology to use here, so I apologize for my ignorance, but one of the girls that is working there, sorry, trying to balance the line here. On the stage are like, when I walked in, it was like 8 girls. Everyone's in like lingerie, and they're just doing like a little dance thing. And one of the girls comes up to me and sits down next to me, and I got the vibe that it's like, I think they probably do this with any like guy that comes in solo. And so she like sat down next to me. She's like, oh, where are you from? And whatever. And so I'm like, I'm chatting, I'm watching, and that show ends, and like the next one goes, and it's basically just it's basically like a repeating cycle all night, and every hour it kind of repeats, except this one was actually a lot better than the one I went to in Amsterdam, where Amsterdam was like almost literally the same acts, shows. This one actually had some like variation to it, so it was like a couple acts of like groups of women up there dancing, and then some like smaller groups, and then it got to the actual ping pong show acts, and I'm not sure what I was expecting. I had heard about this. It was just like, my reaction was like, it's kind of weird and wild. Like, one of them was, this woman brought a jug of water out, and then dropped live fish from what would you say, crevices of the body into the jug of water. Another was like pulling out razor blades. Um, just like, and there was an actual ping pong act where she was shooting ping pong balls into the audience. Anyway, so very interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but yeah, it was like that show, and then it was like, I don't go to a lot of sex shows, so maybe like typical sex show acts after that. And but here's what I want to talk about: the getting scammed part, or almost scammed, borderline scammed. So I'm sitting there with this girl, and then maybe like 3 minutes later, this other girl, one of the ones working there, there were a lot of girls there, probably 20 or so, and some people are like up on the stage, some people are like walking around, some people are sitting next to people in the audience, some with solo people, some with couples. It was a very diverse mix of people. There were old people in there, there were young people in there, there were solo people, there were couples, a lot of couples. And so anyway, 3 minutes later, or whatever, very quick after, this other girl walks up, and she's bringing a rack of shots. And I'm like, oh boy. And she sits down next to me. And I don't know, I couldn't understand what they were saying. But they were like, oh, here's a shot. And then, so I took a shot, and then they took a shot, and then they, can I say this? The girl took, the first one took her top off, and then, yeah, so they had like lime and salt, and putting that on her body. That was such a weird video. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, I'm like, look, I just want to watch the show. I'm here for the show, And y'all are distracting me. And like, where do these shots come from? And like, anyway, whatever, 10-15 minutes pass by, and it's just a lot of things going on at once. And so, after a couple minutes, they give me another shot. I'm like, no. Like, let's give it some time. Maybe later. And then some more time passes, take another shot. They take another shot. We're all just hanging out, chilling. And then eventually, one of the girls calls over one of the bartenders. And I'll say, before this, at another point, someone came around with like a big tip jar and basically like stuck it in my face. And I was like, this is for, it said like, for tipping for the lady show or working, whatever it said. I was like, maybe later. Like, I want to watch the show. I'm here for the show. So that happened, and they took a while. To leave, but eventually they left. And then, anyway, girl calls over the bartender, and then we get into talking about like now you have to pay, and I was like, pay? Like, oh boy, here we go. Like, oh, I'm paying for the shots. I see how it is. And so I'm trying to weasel my way out of it. I'm like, okay. And it's been 15 minutes since I sat down. Like, I came for the show. Like, can I pay later? I'll pay later. I don't want to pay now. Not paying now. I'll pay later. And I'm saying it to like both girls, and like the bartender's like standing there, just like, and she writes down on this sheet of paper. It looks like a 2 and then a lowercase b and then 2 zeros. And then there's like a little comma mark like somewhere below. And so I'm like looking at this and I'm trying to say like, look, let's do this later. I'll pay later. I'll pay after. And they're like, no, you have to pay now. The girls are working. They have to go to work. And like, this is for the women or whatever they were saying. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, fine. So I'm like, okay, how much is it? It's like, what is 2B00? Like, what does that even mean? And so I'm like, what is this, 2,000 baht? I'm like, oh boy. And she's like, yeah, 2,000 or something. And I'm like, I just got cash at the ATM yesterday, and I took out 2,000 baht, and I had like 600 baht from before. I just spent 900 baht. So like, I'm like, I literally don't have this money. And she's like, oh, it's okay. You can pay it by card. And I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I bring out my card, and she's like, okay, follow me. And so the two girls leave. And now, while like all of the shows are like still going on, I'm doing the walk of shame across like the aisle basically, and to the bar. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, I just got weaseled into this, paying freaking 2,000 B100 and 00 baht for whatever these shots are. And so I walk over to the bar, and I saw a sign when I entered, so it wasn't new information, but she's like, okay, we charge 7% on credit card transaction fees. Like, okay, be cool, it's okay, just swipe the credit card and figure it out later. Where was I? I was at a restaurant. They charged 3%. Typically it's like, another hotel was like, hostel I was at was like 1.6%. 7%. Oh my God. Anyway, so she shows me the total, and I'm like, okay, 2,600. I'm trying to do some like mental math. 10% is like whatever, 2,000 or 200 something. But like, I also don't know what the total price is, because like, what is 2B00? And so she like brings out the calculator, punches it in, and then the number says like 3,053 or something. And I'm like, okay. I didn't see the receipt. I don't know how you made this number up. I don't know where the calculation came from, but like, here's my credit card. Just like, get me out of this situation. So she puts it in. Transaction fails first time. Puts it in again. It goes through on the second time. And then she's like, oh, thank you. And takes out the receipt and has me sign the receipt. And one of them was like for the total. I was like, all right, whatever. Digging myself into a hole here. My credit card's gonna know what I'm up to. And then there are two receipts. One is like the total, and the second one is like the itemized. And so I signed the one, and then she's like, okay, you have to sign the other one at the top, like just like on the corner. Just like sign this one too. And I'm looking at it, and I wish I could have taken a picture of it, because but they don't allow. I had to turn my phone off before going in. It was like 5x shots, whatever, 1,250 baht or something. And then it was like, below that was like some extra charge. I literally don't remember. It's like some extra charge for 250, and then another 5x shots, and then another like 250, and then there was some other charge that was like 300 or something. Anyway, I was looking at this, and I was like, just like sign the check or sign the receipt and go back to your seat. But I was like, hold on a second, like where did you even get this from? And so I'm like, I say to the bartender, I'm like, I thought there were only like 5 shots. Like, why is there 2? And I don't remember what she said. She was like, oh, but the girls have to be paid or something. It was some bullshit. And so I'm like, all right, fuck it, just like sign. And as I was signing, I could see, like, I was like looking down and I could see there was another bartender across behind the bar. I saw her like take a step back and do like this kind of motion. And then like come back. There was no flash. So I was like, oh boy, they're taking a photo of me. That riles me up. Because like, I bet you a lot of people like dispute these charges. And so they're gonna, show the photo of like, oh, here you are. Like, this is you signing the check. Like, so I was like, oh, fuck it. Like, whatever. I'll just pay it. So I sign it and I'm like, so like, how long can I stay here? Because like, are you just gonna like keep sending me girls and shots and I just have to like keep paying these 3,000 baht charges after like every hour? And she's like, oh no, you can stay however long you want. And so I'm like, okay. My understanding as when I went in was the same thing. It's like, you pay once, you get your free drink, and you can stay however long you want. And like, you can leave when you want. If you want an extra drink, you gotta pay for it. But like, there's no extra charge, or there's no like hourly charge. So I go back to the same couch, completely alone. It's okay. I felt pretty confident and cool in this situation, a lot more than maybe previously. But I sat back down, and it was like, there were like none of the staff women like came over or like said anything to me. It was like, I see how it is. Okay. I get it now. So anyway, I sat there for the next, I don't know, hour and a half. I think I watched like 3 cycles of the shows. But after that, it was like very sour taste in my mouth kind of thing. Because to me, it's a borderline actual scam. But like, did I agree to drink the shot? I think I took 2 or 3 or whatever. Yes. Did I, when the girls like looked at me and they both had shots in their hands and they were saying something like, drink or we drank or something, I was like, okay, whatever. Yes. I'm trying to watch the show. So did I say yes that they could drink? Yes, I did. But did I request 10 shots and whatever the heck else was on this itemized receipt that I didn't get a copy of? No, I didn't. And if they had asked me if I wanted a rack of 10 shots, I would have said no. So, I don't know. It's okay, but it's... yeah, like I said, I would say borderline scam, but that's okay. I mean, look, it's okay. It ended up being, I think it was $86 US for this beautiful, wonderful experience and memory that I will have for the rest of my life. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been to one other sex show before this in Amsterdam, and this was actually way better. Way better. I want to say I went on like a Wednesday or something in Amsterdam. It's just like not that good. This, highly recommend. But yeah, anyway, it's fine. This is one of those things. When I left like rewind way back when I left for Europe in summer and was like planning all of these travels. One of the things was like, you know, I need to get out and be more uncomfortable. And one of the things was like, as an example, was like, I need to like be in some Asian country where the taxi driver doesn't speak a lick of English, and I'm like trying to go to this hotel, and like I get scammed and he overcharges me or whatever, and I have to like run out. Like one of those examples where like you get scammed because like, you know, you're a tourist, and like that, this is exactly what happened. So like I have fulfilled the objective that I have been after of getting scammed, and I mean it wasn't a taxi, but now I know. And so through the rest of the night, there were a whole bunch of times when like a group of girls would walk around with one of these racks of shots and like sit down next to another guy, or like sit down next to a couple, and a lot of people would be like, oh no, it's okay. But there were a couple more where it was successful, I suppose you could say. So anyway, I left at like 11:30. Like I said, it was just like repeating the show. But anyway, that is what happened last night. And would I do it again? Yes. Except I wouldn't agree to the shots. Anyway, it's good. It's good. Highly recommend. Good time. Uncomfortable situation. Lots of personal growth and self-confidence gaining in a situation like that. But yeah. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.